what is the format that you follow?
That should be okay. Yeah.
Okay. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yamunatiraachari. Yamunatiraachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe. Jai Gauranita, Gauranita, Gauranitai Jaya, Gauranitai Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Shri Shri Radha Madhava Shri Sakis ki Jai, Shri Shri Gauranitai ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalaakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhisham Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, everyone. Just wanted to ask how many new people are there who don't know about Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur? I'm assuming it's like all devotees. Am I correct, Prabhu? Bharat Verma. Yeah.
We have mix of devotees, Mataji devotees, and yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'm just thinking of just sharing a picture of Bhaktisiddhanta instead of my picture. I didn't make any slides, but at least I can share his picture and then talk about him. Ah, for some reason, it's not allowing me to share.
Oh, it's not allowing you to share. Uh,
Like it's not showing my Chrome window to
I see.
share.
Okay.
It's showing
Oh,
other things. Not.
try now if it,
Okay.
or I will try to find something and share it from my side.
Yeah. No. Just a picture of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur would be good. So for whoever is new, the founder of International Society for Krishna Consciousness, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and his spiritual master is Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And this Wednesday on the 18th is his disappearance day. So on that occasion, we have this class on the pastimes of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he's also son of a great Acharya, Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Generally, appearance is what is very desirable to celebrate in the material world. When someone disappears, we really don't feel so good about it. But when a Vaishnava Acharya uh, disappears, also it's good because he's joining Krishna in his eternal pastimes. So we celebrate the disappearance day of any Vaishnava Acharya also. So before we talk about the pastimes of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, let's go over some history before he took birth. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he came to this planet Earth like 500 years ago. And in the form of a devotee, he came and he demonstrated how to be an ideal devotee. And he also established this Gaudiya Vaishnavism. And then he left. But within 200 years of him leaving, this whole message of Lord Chaitanya is hijacked by a group of people called Sahajiyas. These people, they did not understand the message Lord Chaitanya gave about gopis being the highest devotees of the Lord. And they did not understand the relationship of Krishna with the gopis. It's a purely spiritual relationship. It's not like any mundane relationship between a man and woman. And instead of understanding it properly, they misunderstand it and then they try to imitate Krishna in his activities, and they perform many kinds of illicit activities. And it became so bad that nobody knew what actually is Gaudiya Vaishnavism. It became so bad that even Gaudiya Vaishnavas, they were ashamed to call themselves Gaudiya Vaishnavas because of the context that is established in the greater world, because of the contamination that took over. So at that time, Krishna sends the transcendental energy of Lord Chaitanya, which is Bhakti Vinod Thakur. He comes to re-establish the proper principles that Lord Chaitanya gave. So when Bhakti Vinod Thakur came, he was trying to find a copy of Chaitanya Charitamrita. But unfortunately, it wasn't even available. He looked for many years to find it. And finally, he finds an authentic version of Chaitanya Charitamrita. After he reads it again and again. And based on the pure message Lord Chaitanya gave, he writes many books as well. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he is very well educated. He also had a great position in the British government. Governor was like the highest position in the state, but he's just below the governor. He was a district magistrate. He's also from a very good family. So he's well situated and he's trying to establish uh, the pure message of Lord Chaitanya. That was his mission. He was determined to do it. And in like he used to be like handed over some very difficult cases by the government. They knew his ability, so they used to engage him in dealing with some very difficult cases. And one of them is this Falgu Baba, who used to call himself Vishnu. Again, the same Sahajiya tendency. Sahajiya tendency means they don't consider themselves as the servant of the Lord, but they think they're the Lord themselves, and then they try to imitate the activities of the Lord. So this person was doing the same. He was doing many atrocious activities with mothers and sisters of many people. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur was given the responsibility to investigate this case. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was also responsible to take care of Jagannath Puri temple at that time. So this was in around Puri. So to investigate that, he had to take some policemen with him. None of the Hindu policemen wanted to go because they were afraid that this person is, he has some mystic perfections. So you can see, very powerful person, but his Siddhanta is wrong. He's not doing correct things. So we should not be misled by seeing some powerful people if their acharana, if their practice is wrong, if their philosophy is wrong. We shouldn't just fall for the power they display. So none of the Hindus were, bold enough to go with Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So he takes a Muslim policeman along with him. He goes to the forest where this fake person was. And then this person, because he has mystic powers, he could understand the purpose of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He says, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Kedarnath Datta is Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Karmi name. He says, you don't know who I am. I am the incarnation of Vishnu himself. Then Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, so if you are Vishnu, why are you in a forest? You should be in Puri temple. Then he replies, oh, the deity is just a wooden block. I am the real person. So this confirms Bhaktivinoda Thakur that this Baba is just nonsense. If you cannot see the deity as the Lord's incarnation, Archa Vigraha, then what is the point? So he understands that he's a complete fake, and then he arrests him and puts him in the jail. And when it's time to give verdict on him, before that, the whole family of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, they become very sick. Even Bhaktivinoda Thakur's right hand gets paralyzed. But still, the determination of Bhaktivinoda Thakur to establish pure philosophy didn't wane. He just says, let my family die, and I'm not going to back out of establishing proper religious philosophy, proper Vaishnava philosophy. So he went ahead and he gave the verdict, but this person, out of humiliation, he committed suicide. So this is the condition that Bhaktivinoda Thakur was trying to fix. And everyone respected him because of his determination, because of his strong desire to fix what went wrong with Vaishnavism. He also excavated the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya, and he established his own bhajan kutir in Godrum Dweep. So he was doing all this preaching work alone. And he wrote like 100 books. And at one point of time, he was thinking about what will happen after he leaves. So he was praying to the Lord very intensely that I need someone who will carry this mission of re-establishing the pure philosophy. I need a ray of Vishnu as my child. Just like, Advaita Acharya was praying, looking at the condition of degraded condition of people, he was praying to the Lord to appear and teach them proper philosophy. That's when Lord Chaitanya came. In the same way, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was praying for a ray of Vishnu. So as an answer to that, the Lord sends Vimal Prasad. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's birth name is Vimal Prasad. So he sends Vimal Prasad as their child. Vimal Prasad was born in Jagannath Puri, and his father was a magistrate at that time. And from his birth, he had the symptoms of Mahapurusha. His bodily symptoms were the symptoms of Mahapurusha. And then they made his astrological chart, and the Jyotish who made this astrological chart was really surprised. Hasn't ever seen such a chart. So he said, this person will be the cause of re-establishing Dharma, in which lakhs of people would join. When Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur took birth, his umbilical cord, the mother's cord, was placed in such a way that it's like a Brahmin thread. So by birth, he showed all these symptoms of Mahapurusha. And when he was very little, months old, when Rath Yatra happened, the custom was the chariot should stop in front of the house of district magistrate for some time. But then the chariot, there was some problem that year. It stopped for like 3 days in front of their house. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's mother, Bhagavati Devi, she took him onto the chariot, and one of the garlands of Jagannath, it falls on the child. And the child is also trying to touch the feet of the Lord. So these are all indications for Bhaktivinoda Thakur that this fifth child of theirs, fifth surviving child of theirs, is the ray of Vishnu. So he's the one for whom Bhaktivinoda Thakur was praying for. One pastime, we'll discuss couple of pastimes of childhood, and then we'll go to the adult pastimes. One pastime is the mango pastime, where Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was like 3 years old. And then by then the father taught him that anything you eat should be first offered to the Lord, to Lord Vishnu first, Krishna first. But at the age of 3, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was eating a mango. And then father comes and asks, did you offer the mango? Then he forgot, he didn't offer. So from then, he never ate a mango again in his life. Even when he was really old, he said, I am an offender. I took what is supposed to belong to Krishna. Everything belongs to Krishna. Whatever we have, all the grains, all the fruits and vegetables, everything we have belongs to Krishna. So it's according to Bhagavad Gita, if we don't offer and eat, we are only like thieves. We are taking Krishna's property. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati used to say, I'm an offender. I cannot eat mango. So this is his determination to follow the principles very strictly. He had this determination to follow everything very strictly. And at the same time, he had the kindness to give this process to others. And he also had firm, strong desire to re-establish the purity. So these are the marking qualities of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And then by the age of 5 or 6, he memorized the entire Gita. And at the age of 7, he was given Narsimha Mantra and also Narsimhadev deity by his father. And he used to worship. When Bhaktivinoda Thakur was building a house, they were digging for some foundation and then they found this Kurma Shila. Even that was given to Vimal Prasad for worshipping. So he started his deity worship also very early on. And then he got educated, very well educated. We have some books that are translated by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, like Brahma Samhita. It's very hard even for native English speakers to understand his English. He's very learned, very knowledgeable. And when he grows up, Bhaktivinoda Thakur at that time used to discuss spiritual topics with Jagannath Das Babaji. He's also an acharya in the disciplic succession. So he used to discuss these spiritual topics in Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Bhajan Kutir. Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, who is the spiritual master of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he hears about these discussions. He used to live in Vrindavan, but then he comes to Navadvip Dham to participate in these discussions along with Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Jagannath Das Babaji. So by then, Bhaktisiddhanta didn't get initiated. But the father tells him that now it's time for you to get initiated. Take Diksha from a guru. And then he asks, whom should I ask from? Whom should I aspire to take initiation from? Then Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, you have to take it from Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. Gaur Kishore Das Babaji was not at all educated. He is the opposite of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. They both are very well educated, learned, can defeat people in arguments and things like that. But Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, he had immense attraction for holy name, but he wasn't educated. He had so much attraction that he used to stay near the public toilets and chant so that no one will come and disturb him, so that he can chant without disturbance day and night. That was his attraction for the holy name. Even though he's uneducated, he also memorized the entire Gita. So it's not that a guru should be judged based on material qualifications. Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, in that sense, had no material qualifications, but he had this strong attraction for holy name. So that's why Bhaktivinoda Thakur recommended Gaur Kishore Das Babaji for Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. When Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur approaches him for initiation, initially he says, "No, I am not qualified, and I'm not interested in accepting any disciples. I don't want to accept any disciples. You are so educated, you are so scholarly, and I am uneducated. How can I accept you as my disciple? I can't accept." Then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati goes, and then he comes back and he asks him again. He really, really begs. And then Gaur Kishore Das Babaji says, "Okay, let me talk to Mahaprabhu. Let me ask him. When you come next time, maybe I'll ask by then." Then next time he comes again, Bhaktisiddhanta. And then Gaur Kishore Das Babaji says, he asks, "Did you ask Mahaprabhu?" Then Gaur Kishore Das Babaji says, "I forgot to ask. I didn't ask." So he's just very unwilling to give initiation. But the next time when Bhaktisiddhanta comes, he tells that if you don't accept me as your disciple, I'm just going to commit suicide. I have no other way. At that time, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, he understands that this person is really, really serious, and he accepts him as his disciple. There is only one disciple for Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, and that is Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So that's one pastime of initiation. And the second pastime that I wanted to discuss in his adult life is how he prepared before he started preaching. So the whole mission of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is to establish pure principles. So for that, you need to preach to people. You need to educate people. Preaching has a negative connotation. It has this connotation that forcibly you convert people. But that's not what it means. It's like an education for people who don't know what life is about, who are suffering. It's like an education. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was interested in preaching, but before he started preaching, he went to Mayapur Dham. At that time, now if we go to Mayapur, everything is available. It's like an international place. There is not much austerity. It's very opulent. But at that time, there was no facility. Very basic, simple. So he builds a hut near the banks of Ganga, and he lives in that hut. He decided that for 10 years, I'll chant like Haridas Thakur, 192 rounds a day for 10 years. It's like an austerity, tapasya he's doing before he does the mission, like before he embarks on the mission of preaching the pure principles. So every day he's chanting and chanting, like even in rainy season, if the hut is pouring water, still he puts up his umbrella, continues to chant his rounds. And all he used to is just simple rice, just rice, nothing else. Nothing else. For many years he did that. And then Mahaprabhu, one day he comes in his dream and he says, now you have done a lot of sadhana, you go preach. You uplift the fallen souls. You continue Bhaktivinoda Thakur's mission. So that's when he leaves Mayapur and he goes to Kolkata. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he is very revolutionary. The biggest revolution that he brought is one can be a Brahmin irrespective of his birth. It's not by birth one becomes a Brahmana. It's by qualities, not by birth. So one time, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was asked to lecture in some Brahmin Sabha. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur was sick at that time. So he sends Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So he begins the lecture by giving a lot of references from scriptures about how great Brahmanas are. What are the great qualities of Brahmana. So everybody's happy. Oh, he's really praising us so well. We also didn't know all these scriptural references. Now we have a lot to back ourselves from the books. So they thought like that. But then after glorifying all those qualities, then he says, there are many verses in the scriptures for this as well. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that Chaturvarnyam Maya Srishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasha. It's based on guna and karma, based on the qualities and activities. So, and even in Bhagavatam, Narada Muni describes to Yudhishthira that whatever qualities a person has, based on that, he should be classified as a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra. So, all these things Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is bringing up in his lecture in that Brahman Sabha, that not by birth, but by qualities one becomes Brahman. So they all the caste Brahmins hated him for that. They really didn't like him establishing it like that. Originally it was like that, but after all the contamination, perversion, it became so like birth-based that it almost made no sense. You know, If a person is born in Brahmin family and smoking and everything, he's still called a Brahmin. That doesn't make sense. But they didn't like to let go of that status quo that they inherit. So they tried to even kill Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. When he was doing parikrama with some devotees, uh, they threw a lot of stones to kill Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Finally, one of the disciples who wears white clothes, he took Bhaktisiddhanta and exchanged clothes with him so that he won't get attacked anymore until he goes home. So that's how bad it is. Even on another occasion, they told the police that we are going to kill Bhaktisiddhanta. We are letting you know, but you are not supposed to do anything for what we do. But somehow police informs Bhaktisiddhanta to take care, and he ends up not going to that place. So that's another time. And one more time in Dhaka, Bangladesh was part of India at that time. When Bhaktisiddhanta sent some disciples to preach there, all these caste Brahmins, they created this movement that nobody should give any donation to these preachers. So all these preachers, they're very nervous and they conveyed the message. Then Bhaktisiddhanta said, we can eat dirt, but we cannot change the philosophy. Whatever is given in the scriptures, we cannot change it. That is the mood that he has. He's like a lion guru for this reason. He's so strong on following the right thing. He's not willing to compromise on the principles. So he's really an amazing acharya to look up to for all of us. And even Mayavadis, they used to just cross the street and go on to the other side when they see Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So this is how, fierce he was in establishing the truth. And he's the one who excavated all these pastime places of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's the one who started Navadvip Parikrama. He actually wrote a book in Bengali about all the places in Parikrama that's being translated by Bhaktivedanta Research Center in Kolkata. And he is also a brahmachari all his life. He starts this group called August Assembly when he was young with a few friends. We all will stay brahmacharis for life. But all of them left and got married except Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. But he still remained a Naishtika brahmachari his entire life. One time, there is a god brother, Dr. Kapoor. He has a god brother. And his wife is very young and she wanted to talk to him in private. He said, I cannot talk to any ladies in private. You can talk whatever you want to talk with everyone around. And he used to be so strict about not being in this bodily consciousness that he used to put tilak without looking at the mirror. He never used to meditate even a little bit on his body. So the more we meditate on the body, the more we become attracted to enjoying the body. And he doesn't want to do that. And he's an innovative creature. He used a lot of innovative methods. He used to put all these exhibitions. Imagine at that time putting an exhibition for religious pastimes. That's a totally new idea. In Kurukshetra, there is one Gaudiya Math, Brahma Sarovar Gaudiya Math. They had these moving dioramas and exhibit. Even Kolkata Bagh Bazaar Gaudiya Math has it now. And then we have ISKCON Delhi has a Bhagavad Gita museum. It's actually inspired by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And he started the printing presses. He calls them Brihad Mridanga. He was big on printing books. And he is the one who used the principle of Yukta Vairagya very perfectly. He didn't deny anything. If it's useful for Krishna's service, he used it. So before he sat in the car, nobody know sannyasi used to sit in a motorized vehicle. But he used the cars. He thought, if I can go from one place to another and use more time for preaching, why not? Let me use it. And he wore stitched clothes. Even that, no sannyasi used to wear stitched clothes before. He allowed his disciples to cross the ocean. A sannyasi was never supposed to cross the oceans, but for the purpose of establishing the right principles everywhere in the world, he allowed them to cross the ocean. So he's not stuck to just the rules. He knows which can be useful for Krishna's service and which is not useful for Krishna's service. That is called Yukta Vairagya. And he was perfect in using whatever is required for Krishna's service. So these are his adult pastimes, and I wanted to discuss a little bit about his pastimes with Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada, who is the founder of International Society for Krishna Consciousness, he is the disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So Srila Prabhupada, he is born in a very religious family. Prabhupada's father used to serve all kinds of sannyasis. He used to respect any sannyasi. In fact, it's to the extent that he didn't even discriminate, even if sannyasis go, take some drugs or do illicit activities, because they are wearing the orange clothes. He used to respect them, feed them, and give them donation and all that. Because of this, Srila Prabhupada was actually disgusted by seeing so many fake sannyasis. He was so disgusted just with the name of a sannyasi. That was his condition. And at that time, he had a friend, Narendra Malik, and he asked Srila Prabhupada to go with him to see Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, to see a sannyasi. Then Prabhupada says, no, I don't believe all these sannyasis. You can go ahead and meet him. I have nothing to do with all these people. But then Narendra Malik, he explains this sannyasi is different. You should come and see, at least once you should come and meet him. And Prabhupada was unwilling. It's almost like Narendra Malik kind of dragged him to go see Bhaktisiddhanta. So when they first went to see Bhaktisiddhanta, Abhay Charan is Srila Prabhupada's name. He sat in the class Bhaktisiddhanta was giving. And the first thing that Bhaktisiddhanta said, you are an educated young man. Why don't you take this message of Lord Chaitanya all over the world? And Abhay Charan was really shocked. I'm like, how? He was like, how do you know? Like, I mean, I don't even have any relationship with you. How can you, give me a task before, I didn't even meet you? But then Abhay Charan at that time, he was into all the freedom fighting, and he was a follower of Gandhi. And he was telling that who will hear the message of Lord Chaitanya when the whole country is under the influence of some foreign invaders? How can, we focus on that while we are really struggling to even have some freedom? But then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that this message is so urgent that it cannot wait for any mundane independence. You can propagate it even in any condition. So now Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur defeated Abhay Charan. Abhay used to be so expert at arguing that nobody can defeat him. But for the first time, he was defeated by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. At that time, he accepts Bhaktisiddhanta as his spiritual master. He thinks that I found the right person. Like the message of Lord Chaitanya is in the hands of the right person. So he gives his heart to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He waited for many years to formally commit himself, but that very moment he accepted Bhaktisiddhanta as his spiritual master. And then again, once in Radha Kund, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was meeting with all the devotees. He was doing Vrindavan Parikrama. So at Radha Kund, Abhay goes and meets Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And at that time also the instruction that Bhaktisiddhanta gave to Srila Prabhupada is very similar. He said, if you get any money, print books and distribute books. He emphasized on preaching a lot. You see, like many of the Hindus, they are not interested in learning the philosophy and preaching. But this interest to give it to others comes from our disciplic succession. Gaudiya Vaishnavas, ISKCON especially focuses a lot on practicing properly and preaching properly. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur also tried in that regard. He wrote English books. In 1896, he wrote Life and Precepts of Lord Chaitanya, and he sent the book to many universities around the world. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he trained Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur to edit books at the age of 11. He also trained him how to print, proofread. So the focus is there on writing and distributing books. So Bhaktisiddhanta, he wrote more than 60 books in English and Bangla. And now when he met Srila Prabhupada at Radhakund, he also gave him the same instruction, print books and distribute books. So another instance of reciprocation between Bhaktisiddhanta and Srila Prabhupada for each other's relationship and commitment is when they were trying to open a Gaudiya Math in Bombay. So Srila Prabhupada helped a lot. He collected donations and he helped his godbrothers a lot. So when Bhaktisiddhanta comes to Bombay, all the godbrothers, they tell him that Abhay Babu, he helped a lot. Maybe you should make him the president for Bombay Math. Then Bhaktisiddhanta tells that now let him do what he can do, but when time comes, he'll do everything. So this Bhaktisiddhanta was assured from the very beginning that Srila Prabhupada will do everything when time comes. And then 2 weeks before Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur left this world, he also gave the same instruction to Srila Prabhupada again. The same instructions like the first meeting, the same instructions as Radha Kund, that you preach in English, you print and distribute books, you go to the Western world and preach. So Srila Prabhupada took these instructions to heart, and he writes in Srimad Bhagavatam, in the dedication, he dedicates Srimad Bhagavatam to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and he says that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur lives forever by his divine instructions, and the follower, which is Srila Prabhupada, lives with him by following the instruction. So Srila Prabhupada made it his life and soul to execute the instruction of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And because of that, we all got the opportunity to engage in devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Otherwise, we wouldn't have known all these things. And as it is mentioned, book distribution is very dear to him. And this is the month of book distribution. So we may engage in book distribution as much as we can to please him, that pleases him. It's not about the numbers, but whatever endeavor we could do, we can do to please him. And also, we can make extra endeavor in our own lives to keep the purpose of this mission, not let it dilute. They have risked their lives to re-establish proper principles. So we should also put some endeavor, at least in our own lives, to follow the principles purely, the principles that they have given purely. So in this week, especially on the day of disappearance, we may pray to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur to make us his instruments in his mission of keeping the purity, following it properly, and preaching the proper principles, and beg for his mercy to be able to please him in that regard. So these are all the pastimes I wanted to discuss today. So I'll stop here, and if any devotees have anything to add or any questions, please comment.
Thank you, Mataji, for the wonderful class. Yeah, and devotees, if you want to ask any question, please feel free to unmute yourself and
Hare Krishna Mataji, and Pranam, also Srila Prabhupada. Well, thank you for a wonderful class, Mataji. It was really very nice to know more about Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj.
Mataji, if you can say a little loud, actually, or
Oh, okay, Prabhuji.
yeah, now it's good. Yeah, right.
Okay. So Mataji, I mean, I had a question in regards with you mentioning like how Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, he did a lot of austerity before doing the preaching. So does that have any you know, we are at least myself, I'm very low in whatever sense we are in respect with what um, um, following of the acharam and all that. So for us, how do we take it, Mataji? So should we also try to do some austerity before we start a preaching, or how is that? Can you please let us know in perspective of a person who's kind of making an advancement?
Yeah, nice question, Mataji. I actually contemplated on it, and then I was thinking that following strictly is in itself an austerity. Chanting nice rounds, getting up early in the morning, chanting good rounds, and following the principles nicely, eating only prasadam, and reading the scriptures every day. That is an austerity in itself, and eventually that will give us the strength to make a difference when we preach. But the endeavor, we don't need to wait until we become something to endeavor to preach. As much as we have Krishna consciousness, that much we can give. It doesn't matter. Sometimes, if you see even Srila Prabhupada's life, it's like a lifetime in preparation. He could not do much until the age of like 70. But he didn't give up the desire to do. So in whatever way we can help, we should help. We don't need to we have no capacity to even do what Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur did. We won't be able to, do more than this much, what Srila Prabhupada gave us. So yeah, sometimes Maharajas, they chant more rounds for their disciples. Things like that. Maybe you can, like if you have a Bhakti Vriksha, maybe you can chant a round extra for your Bhakti Vriksha people. out of compassion. So you can do such things, but no need to wait. Does that answer your question, Mataji?
Sure, Mataji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
There's a question in the chat also.
Yes.
There are some gratitude, from Rachna Mataji and Amrita Mataji, Kiran Mataji. But there's a question from Rachna Mataji. Did Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur give any specific instruction?
For Mataji's. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think he discriminated much between men and women. My Guru Maharaj was asked this question, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj once, and he said, I don't discriminate between men and women. Everybody should engage themselves in the service of the Lord. And there is nothing like very specific. We all have our own different duties that we will perform, but when it comes to the transcendental duty, there is no difference. Does that help, Mataji? You can type or talk, whatever you prefer.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other question, dear devotees? Okay, so let's say thanks to Mataji by chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. If you can unmute yourself, please. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Hare
Rama, Hare
Rama,
Hare.
Rama Rama,
Hare
Hare.
Hare. Thank you, Mataji, for a wonderful class, and thank you, dear devotees, for spending time with us and joining this class. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Vaishnavebhyo namo namo.
Namo Namo.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.